What's up? Welcome everybody to Watch Party Live here from the Bruin Cave. I am Jason Zone Fisher and I'm fired up because it is the Final Four. We waited not 1 but 2 years for this day to come and it is finally here. We've got 4 teams who have been grinding through a season unlike any other and they are about to tip off in just about 15 minutes. We're going to be keeping the action going all day long, pre-game, at halftime, post-game, leading up to these 2 great matchups. Let me welcome in some UCLA Bruins legends here right now, though. This man was a 4-year starter for the Bruins. He actually started the most consecutive starts in UCLA Bruin history, went on to play 13 years in the NBA, and then became the first UCLA Bruin to become a head coach in the NBA as well. Earl Watson. Earl, thanks for being here, man.
It's always great to be here, especially with my big brother Chris Johnson, who I used to sleep on his floor when I first moved to Los Angeles. I wasn't staying with Barrett. With him and Jelani were my roommates at that time. They thought I was quiet and weird, but when we got on the court.
I'm glad that chapter's ended, though. That wasn't very fun.
That wasn't fun
I didn't
for
enjoy
me.
you being in my house.
But he deserves his introduction. The last Bruin to win a championship.
That's
one
right.
of the last Bruins. I'll let you take it.
No, absolutely. 1995 UCLA Bruin championship team. They're looking to go for the championship tonight or this year to make it back to the championship game. You were there on that squad, and now everyone knows from your KJ Live, Chris Johnson Live, this man knows the Bruins inside and out. He's interviewed all the key players and going to share that insight with us here today. Chris, thank you for joining us, and I'm glad that Earl doesn't have to sleep on your couch.
Yeah, thank God. That was
Nice. Hey, and Baron Davis will be joining us throughout the night as well. BD and all sorts of fun characters will be popping in and out from the Bruin Cave throughout the night. But guys, let me get started. You both have played in the Final Four. I know you made it all the way to the Sweet 16 in your 4 years, and you won the whole thing. What are the emotions like for these teams right now, for these guys in the locker room about to tip off? They've been working their whole lives for this moment. What's it like for them?
I'll let you go.
Well, I think emotionally you have nerves, obviously. There are nerves that exist, but these guys are feeling good about playing the game. You have to remember, we went through the age of COVID, so the game was taken away from them, and now they got it back. They went through the tournament. They went on a really special run. And so in talking to people's parents, I talked to Maxie Juzang, Johnny's dad. I talked to Jalen Clark's dad. I talked to Coley Kyman, who's Jake Kyman's dad. And their whole thing is just, Chris, we're just happy to be in the building. We're just happy to get an opportunity to watch our kids play. Our kids are happy to have an opportunity to play in front of their parents.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of people in there. So the kids are saying that they can hear the parents when they're yelling.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That's unlike any college experience you've ever heard of, unless you're like Toby Bailey's dad, John, when he used to take over. But that's another story. But seriously, so you hear these guys, you hear your parents, and you're hungry and thirsty to play. Man, it's awesome. It's awesome. They're excited.
Good.
And I think it removes the stigma that basketball players play for money, because these kids are not playing for any dollars on the ticket. But the thing about it is, it's a childhood dream to play in the Final Four, to play in the NCAA tournament, to play in March Madness, and to have that come true for all 4 teams who have amazing stories. So I don't think maybe 1 or 2 are supposed to be there. The other 2 maybe not. You're talking about the Houston team and the Bruins. It's almost like story written, movie written, and the fact that they're about to unfold in front of our eyes, it gives me chills. Because it's all basketball. We live in basketball heaven. Chris' dad won a championship at UCLA. Chris won a championship at UCLA. That's father goals.
Yeah.
And if you don't win a championship at UCLA, you always feel like the job is unfinished.
Right.
And that's how I feel, like it's unfinished in some way in the future, has to make itself right. But that's the purpose of basketball at UCLA.
Now, you mentioned the UCLA. I mean, they're just happy to be there. How could that work in their favor? They are taking on Gonzaga, the #1 seed in the entire tournament. They haven't lost a game since last year. I mean, 33, 34 consecutive wins in a row. Talk about like an underdog story here. UCLA was not supposed to be in the Final Four. They were in the first 4, and now they have a chance to write history. I mean, they have a chance to do something remarkable that no one saw coming. So how maybe is that even to their advantage, that maybe they can play a little loose, less pressure on them?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You go into it, you're not really tripping on the stage. You're not. I don't know if they're happy to be here. I think they were happy to be there the first couple of games, and then once you start to realize that you can actually do something, make some noise, then it becomes, okay, let's lock in. Like, let's start taking this serious. We might have a real shot. Then you start holding on to certain sentimental things and superstitious things. and there's Bruin fans that have come out the woodworks, and so now it becomes a whole movement.
Right.
And now the belief system in the players, the coach at the helm of everything, and the parents, and us, the fans. I mean, now everybody's on the same page, and all of our energy is moving in the right direction.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about repetition when you talk about basketball, right? You talk about the hard work, the grit, from coaching the players to, like, you know, your vision. Every coach has their own vision. Players have to buy in to do it. But I used to sit on Coach Wooden's couch just like this, have these long talks with him and Encino when I was playing at UCLA.
Wow.
Every chance I got. And what he always said to me was belief is stronger than reality. So this team really believes. When you start doing something, you're doing it over and over. The Spurs call it pounding the rock, and eventually it breaks during the championship run. The rock has broken. Mm-hmm. And that confidence just goes to another level. Now you have Juzang looking like a young Devin Booker. Yeah. You have, like, you know, players on their team, like, you know, Triple J out there making moves looking like a young Ginobili. Mm-hmm. And then you have Coach Cronin almost giving you residue and resemblance of Ben Howland. Mm-hmm. Like, so you have that coming, and everyone confidence is headed in the right direction. The energy is headed in the right direction, and it's big for West Coast basketball. And the LA movement is big right now in basketball anyway, with the Clippers and the Lakers. Now the Bruins, SC had some success, but they always a step behind us, so we really don't care. It is what it is, right? So that movement is pushing forward.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, before we went live, you were talking about the fact that you probably wouldn't have gone to UCLA unless Chris paved the way and that 95 team won the championship. So talk about the impact that this squad, just making it even this far to the Final Four, is going to have on the future of the UCLA basketball program.
It's everything. You know, I chose UCLA because of Lucius Allen. Lucius Allen was from my neighborhood. He went to UCLA, won championships with Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, John Wooden. Wow. And that gave me, my dad is older, so that put the ring, like that seed in my head. That's the only place you can go. But it lasted for so long. And then in 95, when I was coming out in 97, they won the championship. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing these light-skinned dudes out here dunking backwards, playing like dark-skinned dudes. I'm like, yo, I got to be on that team. Like, I got to be a part of that run because I'm living literally 35 minutes from University of Kansas. Like, I'm living right there.
Right. Yeah,
and they paved the way. I'm not that type. But they paved the way for me to believe, and that led to Cody Riley. That led to Jerron Rush. Mm-hmm. That led to UCLA getting one of the top point guards women basketball in high school right now, Jada Williams. So that push is coming.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. And LA now has returned to its rightful place as the mecca of basketball, in my opinion. I know we got my New York cats that say New York, but I've always felt like it was LA. The high school scene, the college scene, the pro scene. It's elite. Mm-hmm. It's bar none. There's nowhere else like it in the world. And now what you have with the UCLA crew, you got everybody pulling for them. I mean, you see the city halls turn blue and gold, all these buildings around town. I mean, when the city and the energy is moving behind you, this is just like 95. It feels exactly the same. And also, there's a lot of familiarity with the guys on the team, and I think that plays a big part.
Well, LA is definitely having a basketball renaissance right now, but somewhere else it is Texas. Because our first matchup, we got Baylor versus Houston, the Battle of Texas. Who will move on to play in the national championship game? Guys, give me your quick take on what is it going to take for Houston to upset Baylor, or is Baylor just going to be too strong and they'll move on? Chris,
well, for me, I think it's Coach Sampson. He has a crew that high energy defensively. Mm-hmm. They're very active on both ends of the floor. And he recruited me when he was at Washington State University. So what I know about Coach Sampson is he's very intellectual. He's very inspirational. So he's going to have his guys ready to play. Baylor is a tough task. They have one of the most talented teams that we've seen in college basketball. These guys have pros. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this game, Battle of Texas, is going to be high-level, big-time college basketball. But I do think Coach Sampson gets to that national championship game.
Coach Sampson also recruited me too when he was at OU, and he is a genuine guy. Yeah. If it wasn't for those 4 letters, I was gone because he gets you in his presence.
Yes.
He gets you in his presence. Yeah. So I'm happy for him. And he has another kid in his team called Grimes. His last name is Grimes. Mm-hmm. Started at KU, transferred. Same thing with Johnny Juzang. Started in Kentucky and transferred. So you got a connection of 2 guys who started someplace they thought they could be successful. It didn't happen. They left to supposedly lower, institutions, universities, basketball playing. And they're showing they're back in that Final Four when those other teams aren't there. So I'm pulling for Coach Sampson, but Baylor has a player who I love, the point guard Mitchell. Can they keep him out of the paint? And I know he's not their leading scorer, but tonight he have a big game.
All right, so who do you think's going to win?
I'm going with Coach Sampson. I'm cheering for the guy that had me in his presence.
The Cougars, baby.
That's who I'm cheering for. I want him to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, UCLA, the winner of UCLA Gonzaga will face the winner of this game. You guys are Bruins fans. We're rooting for UCLA. Let's just say UCLA beats Gonzaga. Who would you rather face in the championship game?
I don't care. No, honestly, at this stage, so when you get this deep in the NCAA tournament, you're less concerned about what everybody else can do, and you're more concerned about what you're doing and what you're doing well. We're not tripping on them, we're tripping on us. So I don't think it matters who they play. They're going to be up for the challenge, whoever it may be.
And that is the Bruin mindset. Coach Wooden had a thing. Prepare every game and every practice like it's a championship practice or game. So when you get there, you don't change your habits, you don't change, you don't celebrate. You go through it like a machine and you celebrate later. Yeah. So this is UCLA's championship game, Gonzaga. They beat them. The next game is an extra game to celebrate twice. So taking one game at a time, and it's like, Chris, we was brought and raised in UCLA basketball. It doesn't matter who we face, because we never should be a Cinderella story. The media can run with it, but the jersey says never.
That's
Am
right.
I right?
Yeah, you sound like a lot of pride right there. Yeah. No, it's real though.
It's true. That's true. Wow. One game at a time, one possession at a time. The lessons that you learn from Coach Wooden, we could do a whole show on that. I would love to hear these. I mean, he's the GOAT. I mean, he really is. And laid the foundation for this historic program. We're so excited for UCLA Gonzaga, but first up, we've got this Battle of Texas, and it's starting in just a couple of minutes. It's going to be amazing. Now, the players they're doing the starting lineups right there. You have got a lot of head coaching experience. What would you say to your guys before a matchup like this to get them ready? Is it about X's and O's? Is it about motivation? Is it about them getting them to recognize that this is their moment?
Well, all week they've been going through X's and O's, preparing. You can only go through it so much. Yeah. And I love Phil Jackson's, method. Sometimes in championship game and closeout games, the board is full. You go in the locker room, players are reading the notes already, your matchups, offense, defense. He walks in and he erases the board. He just says nothing. He says, do what you've been doing and be the best version of yourself. And then that moment, the players erupt, right? Because you really just want to go out there and play free, and you bring it in because there's nothing you can really change.
Right.
You can only have perspective and change. I might guard him a different way than the last guy I faced, and that's it. You go out there and be the best version of yourself, one possession at a time, like you say, and always play forward.
Well, I'm ready. I'm fired up. Coach Watson is here preaching. That's right. I'm ready to go.
That's what he does.
That's what he does. I love this. I'm ready. I am fired up. We waited 2 years for the Final Four, and tip-off is coming up in just about 30 seconds. So stay plugged in with us all day and all night here today. We will be coming back live at halftime to give you our analysis of the first half, and then following the game as well, recapping what happened in our first Final Four matchup and previewing the big game, UCLA versus Gonzaga. Thank you guys for tapping in. Stay locked in and enjoy the games.
Oh yes, from the Bay to LA, California love, baby. We're here. I'm Baron Davis at SLiC Studios in the Bruin Den. I got my guest, my co-host, Chris Johnson. I got the coach, the mastermind, the Pac-12 aficionado, Earl Watson. We here, we live, UCLA. We here, baby. Final Four. We got a tough opponent. Talk to me. What does it take for the Bruins to win this game?
Well, tonight it's going to be about defensive effort. You're going to have to lock down Gonzaga. It's one of the most potent offensive attacks in the whole country. They're a layup-getting machine, and the Bruins are going to have to get back in transition defense, and they're going to have to make some baskets. It's going to be the toughest game of the year, but we can do it.
The great thing is we don't turn the ball over. So we talking about live ball turnovers between half court and free throw line. We can't have those to take away transition and layups. We got to play the right way, slow the game down, pace, pace, pace. Run when we have it, pull it out when we don't. Make the best passes, the best shots. That Baron Davis point guard, control the pace flow.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be good.
All right, what is the key to tonight's matchup, or who is the key?
I think first is Tiger Campbell. Can he control the pace, and can he also pick up and make them slow down? He can't let their guards, Suggs, play at a vertical pace. They can't play vertical, they have to play horizontal. Can he turn them a couple of times in the backcourt before they get into their offense and kind of make him a one-on-one scorer? And you know about Timmy and that footwork, so what do you think about that?
No, he's big time. Drew Timme is one of the best posts in all of college basketball, but my question is going to be, what is Cody Riley and Nwamba and the UCLA Biz going to do with this guy? Because there's some hogs. But my key is the Triple J's, Johnny, Jaime, and Jules. They got to play well on both ends of the floor for the Bruins to even have a shot to win.
BD, throw it back, do what you do. Drop that
Hey, for
dime.
me, very reminiscent of '95 when my man won the championship. I'm just happy to be here. Welcome to SLiC Studios. Tune in with us at SLiC Sports on YouTube. Back to my man Donnie Mack, my girl Ross, the lockdown defender, and Ashley. I don't know why you're dealing with them two, but we here. All right, baby. Yo, San Francisco, what's up? California love from SF to LA. We doing this, we live at SLiC Studios here in the Bruins Den. I'm your host, BD, Let's Go UCLA, with my co-host Chris Johnson, 1995 national champ, and the mastermind and the coach, the Pac-12 aficionado, my dog, Earl Watson. What's up, fellas?
We good.
Man, I'm feeling good about today. I'm feeling good about the Bruins, but I know that they have a tough task ahead. What is it going to take for the Bruins to win today?
It's going to take a heck of a defensive effort by everybody on that squad. It's going to take them getting back in transition, making a concerted effort to stop Gonzaga and keep them off the glass. And also, we're going to have to get some offense from the three J's, Johnny, Jaime, and Jules. They got to score some buckets today for the Bruins to win.
Like you said, transition defense is everything. We can't have live ball turnovers. And fortunately enough, we have Tiger Campbell, who rarely turns it over. Our team is the least amount of turnovers per game in this tournament. So we have to protect the ball, make all the right shots, control the pace, and defensively. Can Tiger Campbell take Suggs and make him a horizontal player, meaning sideline to sideline instead of vertical rim to rim? Because Suggs is one of the best point guards in this league, in this Final Four, and we know he has high NBA potential.
Oh, yeah.
But the Bruins are the Bruins, baby. Those four letters, and, you know, they have that BD flow. Can he control the pace, do a little something, but also keep it simple at the end, which you was great at that.
Man, and you were as well when you led the Bruins, you know, to multiple tournament wins. Dude, Earl Watson, one of the great Bruin point guards. And I know it's a point guard battle, but Gonzaga is a beast down low. And UCLA have been holding their own. Speak to the post position and what's that's going to mean tonight.
Well, Drew Timme is one of the most talented post players in all the college basketball. He can do a lot. He's very versatile. So it's going to take Cody Riley and Nwamba, those two bigs. They're going to have to step up, play bigger than they are, and really just kind of a Herculean type effort down low.
I said
I was going to say to you, Earl, you know, shooter, shoot, scorer, score. We know the point guard matchup is important, but talk about the scoring matchup and who can stop who and who has to be explosive tonight.
We need Juzane to be efficient. We need Juzane to step up, and we need Triple J to also take on that defensive battle. Because sometimes coaches put bigs with bigs, and Timme is killing every big. Like Timme, Drew is just dominant. So maybe Triple J can be that guy that can guard Timme.
Smaller guy.
I like that. Look, here's the strategy. Here's the game plan. I'm excited. Let's go Bruins. I want to give a shout out to my girl Ross Stanford in the national championship.
Back to Pac.
Big upset. Pac-12, we doing it. LA now kicking into SF. California love. Tap in with us. SLiC Sports on YouTube. We out, baby. Appreciate the assist. Thank you, San Francisco. We live in LA at SLiC Studios in the Bruins Den at the UCLA watch party. Thank you. Big thanks to UCLA Athletics. Let's go Bruins alumni. I'm Baron Davis. I'm here with my co-host, Chris Johnson, and the mastermind, the Pac-12 aficionado, Earl, the squirrel, the pearl, Watson. Yo, so look, we know that we got a tough game ahead of us. I'm confident. I like our chances. Talk about the matchup today and what it's going to take for UCLA to pull this off.
Well, for me personally, it's going to be about UCLA's ability to get back in transition defense. I talked to associate head coach of USC, Jason Hart, and they played him in the Elite Eight. And that's what he said they killed him on. backdoor layups, getting the ball out quick after made baskets. UCLA is going to have a Herculean-type effort on the defensive end if they want to get a W.
Transition defense, and where does that start? Like Chris said, start with taking care of the ball. Tiger Campbell has to keep it simple. Don't try to overplay his position as he's been doing. Be the best version of yourself. Control the pace, and defensively make Suggs become a horizontal player. What does that mean? Sideline to sideline. Because when he plays vertical, he gets in that paint. That ball starts moving like the Spurs in the Golden State Championship. There's .5 basketball. You're giving up layups because you're too busy closing out and guys are cutting to the basket.
I totally agree. And I also feel like, great guard play has been a dictator, but the big man. Talk about the bigs in this game today and the UCLA bigs and what they're up against.
Well, Gonzaga in particular has a guy that has been absolutely dominant in this NCAA tournament. And Drew Timme, he's big, he's versatile, he's got great feet and a lot of energy. It's going to take UCLA to really just take it upon it themselves to hit him in the mouth. Not figuratively, literally, but you got to fight this guy, push him out of his position, make everything tough and difficult for him. And that's the only way UCLA can even think about being in this game.
Anytime you're facing a guy on the court with the stash with 2 first names, you know it's a problem. You know it's a problem, right? So the bigs have to control him and beat him up and wear him down.
Yeah.
And then UB Brown way, what he taught us, is you hit him with different looks. That means Triple J is eventually going to have to guard him and defend him because he's too quick and fast for most bigs.
Yeah.
You need a guy who's still athletic, who's still strong, and can play vertically, and that is Triple J for UCLA. So he has to play both sides of the ball.
And then what do the Bruins have to do to win on the offensive end of the court?
I mean, you guys know this. We had Chris, who's one of our best scorers. Zhu Zhang has to be efficient.
Absolutely.
And if he's not efficient, Triple J has to get to the free throw line to slow the game down. And he's coming off pin downs and screens. He can get his own shot in Zhu Zhang. That's great. But Juice Bernard is that third scorer. If he gets over the turf toe, as you both know, Chris, speak to that, how he can score in isolation.
Well, he can score in ISO because he's good off the bounce. Coach Mick Cronin told me earlier this week that he'd rather have Jules be a straight line driver, get to a spot. But my thing with this team is Jake Kyman, David Singleton, they got to come in off the bench, knock down shots because they're going to be collapsing on them guys, so they got to be down ready to shoot.
Yeah, it's going to take an everybody thing, a team win. Thanks to UCLA Athletics, thanks to an alumni association. Shout out to Ross and the Stanford women for getting to the national championship game. For Baron Davis inside of SLiC Sports, you can catch us on YouTube with Earl Watson, Chris Johnson, to Ashley, Donnie Mack, and Ross. California love, baby. Let's go, Bruins!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. You've just been watching the first half of the Final Four, and guys, that was domination. 45-20 Baylor leads. That is the most points that Houston has given up in the first half of any game all season. Picked a bad time to do it. What has been the difference in the game so far? Earl, why don't you start, Coach?
It's about Baylor defense. You know, Baylor is the type of team, they're aggressive, they're athletic, they have opportunity to close out on shooters, they make you play, and we all know we play. Anytime you face a good defense, you better have a guy on your team offensively that can get his own bucket. And that their defense put Houston in one-on-one situations and they can't convert.
That is so true, man.
Yeah. And if you're Houston, I mean, offensively, you got to get some more stuff out of Grimes and Jerome. I mean, they're basically scoreless the first half. They're two of their major guys. Coach Sampson has to draw up some offensive fluidity. Guys got to knock down shots. Their percentages are below 25% for the half. They're not knocking down threes. And so it's a tough night when you're playing against a Baylor Bears team that locks you up defensively and can hit threes. They got guys scoring. Mitchell's off the hook in the first half. Butler, these guys are playing good basketball. You got to find something in the way to do it.
And, me and Yoda was talking, and, basketball, Yoda was saying that you can't undo, what you have undone. And to that, it means Houston is playing a way that they have never played, right?
Exactly.
And so what I've seen in Houston as a team, athletic team with leaders, and so when you start taking away those dynamics, right, the pieces of the puzzle start falling, and then one-on-one basketball in the NCAA tournament, it's not going to get you anywhere unless you got a Steph Curry.
Or a Baron Davis.
Or BD.
And that's something I want to ask you. This is good. So when you guys beat Dallas, Dallas had a great defensive team. And before you went into that series, I was like, Barron and them are going to win. It was like, why do you say that? I say, because Barron can get a bucket at any time.
Yep.
Like, he can play through the floor of the team, and he's a non-pattern player. So when the ball comes back to him, he knows it's go time. He would get into that rhythm. So my question to you is this. When did you know it was your time to take over in isolation versus getting players involved like Matt and Steven Jack?
I think, man, it's like when I look at the game in spurts, right? At the beginning of the game, everybody gonna come out with energy, right? That's an opportunity for go get you, 2 or 3 layups just on for adrenaline. But when that game starts settling down, especially in that third quarter or and especially in like that 8-minute mark, that 12 to 8-minute mark, it's like, yo, if this shit gets stale, I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of like how I saw it during the Dallas series. Was like, we started off the series, it was just we were just playing bad basketball, but I was like, yo, as soon as this shit settle in, right? Because nobody's really scoring. We catch them on the ISO, it's over, right? And so the whole game I'm measuring. Sajana Gop, I can beat him to the rim. Dampier, I can beat him to the rim. I can beat everybody on this team to the rim as long as I get them on this island or at the top of the key. And then once they start looking at me and I got all the attention in that 6 minutes, Jay Rich, Stat, Matt.
Open
you know what
shot,
I mean?
open shot.
And that's what it is matchups, man. If you can take advantage of a matchup and you can start to make the game flow to where you want it to flow, then you have control of the game. And that's what they talk about. That's when you at your best, when you feel like you in control. Yeah. Whether it's points, assists. I mean, you do it, Earl. Talk about it.
But you did it more for me. If I couldn't get it through you, I had to go through Chris. Because Chris could get it in isolation. His footwork is superb.
Yeah.
Kiki Vanderway type. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm being honest, it's just amazing on any level I ever played with. And sometimes these two be fighting over the ball for the end of the game shot. For the end of the game shot.
I mean, I know we're gonna go to him. Hey, he clutch.
Be coming to me. They're like, yo, give me the damn ball.
I'm thirsty. I'm always. I love it. He clutch though.
I'm gonna go stand in the corner and let y'all. They literally be fighting over the ball.
He still got the ball. Look at him.
And then they both hit it. And to be honest with you, we were in a game similar to, not the score-wise, but in a game where it got stale. Michigan, your senior year or freshman year. When Barron hurt his knee, unfortunately.
Right.
And Barron took over the game to where he created plays that even when he got hurt, it gave me now my rhythm to finish strong because you already hit it out the park and my base hits were now open. Yeah. And then it gave you game and space because we hit them mentally we hit them so tough that we were able to still win the game.
But Doc, that's the one thing that I think is going to work in UCLA's advantage. When other people see them 4 letters, for some strange reason they think we saw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what caught Michigan off guard.
Right.
Is like you thinking, like you looking across and you like, man, these dudes is like, they hang out at the beach, they wear board shorts. It's like, man, well, I kick your ass.
It's a stereotype. Right. It's a stereotype. But think about UCLA. And Earl, you made a great point the other day when you said this is probably one of the most diverse teams that we've ever seen. You have African Americans, you have Asian, you have Mexicans, you have whites. You have everything you need, all the ingredients of everything that this country is all about. Resiliency, strength, determination, everything in one squad. That's why I believe in them. When they played against Michigan State, and they wasn't taking none of that stuff from Tom Izzo's Mr. March, Michigan State squad, I knew this crew was ready to make a run deep in March.
But see, you guys all grew up in LA. And for me, coming from Kansas City, when I saw UCLA as a young kid, I felt like I belonged there. Yeah. I didn't fit in that cookie cutter. If I'm going to fit in the culture, I got to act a certain way or do a certain thing. That's LA culture, which you just explained. Yeah. That's LA culture to the fullest, a melting pot of everything. And if you can hoop, you can go. And you get your respect that way, your stripes that way. So that's a credit to y'all that y'all grew up and y'all created that for the rest of the country to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I want to get the coach's perspective because it's halftime right now and one team is dominating, Baylor over Houston. So if you're Kelvin Sampson, what can you possibly say to these guys to get them to believe that they can still win this game?
I don't know if it's about belief right now. I think it's about challenging. Mike Tyson has the greatest quote, everyone has a plan until they get hit. And they got punched in the mouth and didn't swing back. Yeah. So when you go into that locker room, this is the rest of your college career for some players and the rest of your season. I'm going to challenge you to forget the score. We're going to cut the score in half with the 10-minute mark. I'm challenging you to defend them the way they're defending you. Because right now you are too uncomfortable, and they're very comfortable feeling uncomfortable. But sometimes we all know, like a bully, he gonna verbally get at you so many times until one day you just give him a 2-piece, no biscuit. Like, you know what I mean? So you got to deliver that 2-piece, and that's what they have to do defensively to get back into the game. And these two right here, we be in a huddle, and our energy, and they talk about this 4-letter salt. These two dudes go to a space that I would love to go to with them, and that means go to war. That means, dogs.
Yeah, you gotta, like, how many times have we just been down and you gotta black out?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, and Coach Keith Smart used to tell me this, and he'd be like, I go to the sideline, he'd be like, yo, bro, you ain't even sweating.
Yeah.
How about trying to sweat? You know what I mean? You like, I'm sweating, and you look, you like, damn, dog, like, I ain't even busting a sweat.
You need a Patrick Ewing sweat.
You need a lather, bro. Lather. You know what I mean? And so they got to come out and get a sweat going, and then they got to play the game in 5-minute marks. At the 5-minute mark, are we still down 20-30? At the 5-minute mark, have we cut in 6? All right, the next 5 minutes, let's cut in another 6, right? That's plus 12.
Yeah.
We done cut the lead in half.
Yeah.
Now you trying to, now if we can get to 6 or 8 under 5 or 10, we in the game.
And you can't get it all back at once. And that's the idea when you're chipping away at a big-time lead in the second half, especially in college. You can't play hero ball. You got to stick with your stuff. You got to get high-percentage shots. You got to get high-percentage looks. But the most important thing, you got to get stops. If you're not getting stops every time down with a lead like this, Baylor over Houston, you're out of the game. You gotta have a chip on your shoulder, man.
Gotta have a chip.
You gotta be pissed off that they got y'all down, man. You gotta come out in the second half ready to fight these dudes. Not fight literally, but fight. Show some fight.
And sometimes it has to be literally.
Yeah, you gotta
be honest.
throw
You
elbow.
got to mix it up. And we all play for great coaches. Hubie Brown would say this: in the postseason, everyone knows your plays. Everyone knows your game.
Yep.
What counters do you have to get to that isolation and get to the paint? What counters do you have to get off your second, the hezzy? You like the hezzy. You know what I mean? What counter do you? Barron hit me one time, man, and I learned I'm in the NBA because I had to guard him every day in practice in college. And so when we faced him, I was like, I know all his rhythms. I can't wait to play him. I love him. I hate him. I can't love him, but I hate him. You know what I mean? He hit me with a counter that I'd never seen before. And I was like, where did it come from? And he made it up in the moment. I will never forget. It was in Seattle. It was the right wing. He hit me with the hezzy. And
You were waiting on the hook come back?
I was waiting for the cross. He hit me with a double hezzy. And I was like, and I waited, and I'm still standing. He's like shooting a corner 3. I'm like, what the hell? That's not new.
You over here beating
Gotta get away from this dude. Hey, bro, this dude was glue.
When you do that, when you do a move like that, how much of it is practice and how much is just in the flow improvisation?
It's practice, but it's also like, this dude know me better, damn near better than I know myself. And he cheat, dude. Every time I shoot, he does this.
That's what he did to me.
Dog, used to, it's a joke. Used to cry
It's
to
cheating.
the ref.
It's
He
cheating.
be like, come on, BD, you know I ain't touching you.
Oh,
You know what I mean? I'm like,
snake
come
bite.
on,
He used
dog.
to do a snake bite.
But he was glue. And so you gotta know how to, like me, my whole game was to shake and try and get you off balance. And Earl sit. You know what I mean? Earl like Ron Artest. They gonna sit and they gonna slide because they got long arms and wide base.
Right.
So even if you do cross, he gonna be one slide, he gonna hit you right here and he gonna be trying to steal the ball. And so it's like, dude, I gotta just get him. I gotta get him
dirty, man.
to sit down. Once I get him to sit down, then I can move.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if I'm bouncing and he bouncing and I go and he slide, it ain't gonna work like that. I gotta get him to stop, then I go. Then when I go, then we go, I stop.
You would love this. The same game, he hits me with that move. They take me off of him, right? Because it was so clean, like it messed me up, right? He hit the game winner.
Yep.
And in the huddle, I'm looking at the coach like,
He said he about to do this.
I know you about to put me on him. Because I know how he hits game winner. He just hits it. He has that knack. These two for hitting game winner. They love
I'm so glad you went.
They love the stress. They love that pressure. They put Damian Wilkins on. I was like, you
Oh,
cannot
Lord
put
have
a
mercy.
6'5" dude on him. It's an appetizer for him. And it was game when I was so mad, but I was also happy because that's my bro. But I was like, I told y'all, I'm tearing up the locker room.
So, like, in a situation like this, and Jay, I throw it to you, like, a team like Baylor, right? And we've seen this time and time again. When you up a lot, dog, this is the tournament. This is a Final Four. Houston can come back, right? This is Baylor's game to lose. How can they lose this game?
They can lose this game if they get overconfident. If they get too cocky, they think they've already won. If they're in there celebrating right now in the locker room at halftime, that's how they can get caught slipping. They need to pretend the exact same advice that Kelvin Sampson is giving his team. The Baylor coach should be telling his team too. 0-0 right now. You got to win this half.
What do you tell your team if you're Baylor right now?
Be better defensively. Create no momentum. Take away everything they have, a possibility of believing they can get back into this game. So we closed out and we spread the court and we made them play in isolation. Do it again, but do it more aggressively. Like sometimes, we get teams on the ropes. You understand it's just 3 or 4 more plays in a row and they're going to quit.
Yep.
Like you got to have that killer mentality. But you're right, the score is 0-0.
And what are you telling? I mean, you're the lead. You're Davion Mitchell, right? Before you come out of that huddle, what are you saying to your team as the leader?
Well, just getting them, keeping their energy up. The reality is this means a lot to the Baylor community down in Waco. They went through a lot over the course of the last 20 years with their program, a lot of ups and downs and things that have went on. So this means a lot more to that community than most. It's special for them. I would just try to keep my energy up, man. As far as like technically, man, you just got to keep your foot on the gas. And no bubbles, as we used to say back in the day. Don't let them get no air, no bubbles, and just close the deal.
What did y'all say in the Final Four when y'all had those leads at UCLA in '95? Who was that person talking, and what was that conversation?
Oh, it was Ed O'Bannon. It was Ed O'Bannon every single time. He would turn up. He would get crunk. Sometimes I don't remember what he said. And that's all it was. And that's all you need. You're just like, okay, Ed. And then you just get out there and play, man. That's all it was. So it was Ed O'Bannon every single time, man. He was our inspirational leader. He was like, our heart and soul. And so whenever he spoke, man, everybody listened.
Yeah, and I feel like Charles was a lot like that too, like
he was.
The emotional fire. You know what I mean?
Especially after the dunks and stuff.
I mean, every championship team, especially in college, needs that guy. You need to have that guy who brings everyone together, who's that leader in the locker room.
Absolutely. I think, and I want to say, shout out to the state of Texas for Baylor and Houston being there. We all West Coast right now because we West Coast biased, but when you look at, what Baylor has been through as a program, look at what Houston has been through, and as a city, you know what I mean?
So
we definitely want to give, pay homage to, Coach Sampson, who I call Coach Killer. He coached me one time, but, we want to pay homage to the people in Houston because I think this game right here has a lot of, history and
absolutely.
Talk about it a little bit.
Well, think about this too, BD. This is the state of Texas. They were open during COVID, so they were the place that you could go. You were living freely. You're kicking it. Their rules were relaxed. I think that the job that Scott Drew and Coach Sampson did to keeping those guys healthy for the most part. Remember, Baylor had to get shut down. Yeah. Then they had to come back on. They went through it with COVID. So for them to be here in this position, I think it speaks volumes to just the buy-in. And I'm talking about it with Mick Cronin as well. It's the buy-in, Mark Few. It's the buy-in from your crew during COVID. We got to start acknowledging this because as college guys, you go out, you hang out, you're chilling. You go to non-social.
You're not even thinking about responsibility, bro. You're not thinking about.
Will a championship this year, whoever is crowned champion, will it mean even more because they did it under these circumstances?
I think it does, and you talk about how Texas was wide open. I think it's no coincidence you have 2 teams from Texas in the Final Four because they got a summer to prepare and hoop.
Great point.
When kids out here couldn't hoop anywhere.
September. We couldn't do anything till September at UCLA.
Couldn't do anything. So they were getting their weights in. We know summer's everything for a basketball player and a basketball team, so that's not a coincidence. Yeah. And when you talk about everything they had to go through being in that bubble, it's not an NBA bubble. Let's just keep it 100. They say it's a bubble. The NBA bubble was different because there's so much more money behind it because the athletes are actually getting paid. So their bubble that they're going through is not the same. They're not the same. They're not at Disney World campus. They're staying in hotels and not leaving. We've
all been to the Marriott in Indianapolis.
That city, baby.
For reasons we want to disclose and not disclose.
It's a family show.
It's just different. It's just different, man. And
they got a steak and shake across the street.
They do.
That's kind of where me and BD met. You know what I mean? Nike camp. You know what I mean? So it's just different. And being at that age and not having those financial resources and being in a bubble, salute to them. It shows the love for the game, BD.
Absolutely. And I just also think, everything that y'all talking about, the players for one, to take it upon themselves, right? To be disciplined enough to go through it. And then to all the college athletes, right? I mean, this has been a hard time for, each and every one of them, staying in their dorms, having to work out in groups of 2s or 3s, not seeing their teammates like they want, not being on campus, school Zooms, all that shit, man. It's like, I got to tip my hat to all of them, especially, and then big salute to women's basketball. We got a finals matchup. Anybody, care to take a bet or have a pick?
Well, it's a Pac-12, so
it's a Pac-12 final.
I like Arizona, though. Dia Barnes, I'm a big fan of hers. I've known her since she was a coach at the University of Washington, so I'm going with Dia to win.
I would agree. I mean, if they can upset UConn, a team that looked pretty unstoppable.
But you got a legend on the other side. You got
legend.
the most legendary coach other than Pat Summitt in women's basketball history, Tara Vanderveer.
Come on.
It's going to be a hell of a matchup, man. I can't wait.
I'm going Stanford unless someone from Arizona goes off and gives them 30-plus points. And, when you have a legend on that other side, something about consistency.
Yeah.
Arizona's building their program up, and great for them. Her post-game flying the bird double salute. That's a coach I will play for. I'm just being honest with you. That is so Hubie Brown, man. That's Hubie Brown to the fullest, man. It just makes you move a certain way. And she relates to these younger kids, and she understands, and this is a different time.
I love her. I love her.
Yeah,
I love her. I also, I love both programs, right? I'm a Bruin. I'm a women's Bruins. Coach Corey Close, that is my girl. So I am 110% with you, Coach. I don't even care who wins. Shout out to Stanford and Arizona. Great coaches, great teams, great players. Shout out to women's basketball. I feel like even in the Final Four, women's basketball is now starting to, people are starting to pay attention, but it's always been there. So before we get into, the second half, talk to us about what we need to do to support the women's game.
Well, I talked to Coach Close, had her on my show earlier this week, and I asked her that very question. And what she told me was watch the games. Watch them. Talk about them. Engage on Twitter. Engage on your social media. Follow the people involved. And that's how you build the community. It takes a community of support to elevate a game, and that's where we are. What I'm going to do with KJ Live, I'm going to have a women's basketball sort of vertical. I'm a partner with a couple of women's basketball tournament operators, and we're going to bring in influencers from the women's basketball side. We're going to give them a platform to talk about what they're going through, talk about their experience and things like that.
Well, we know Coach Close is a great recruiter because we've always been supportive of women's basketball for UCLA, but she made us family.
Yep.
She brought it together, and now we're behind her 100%, and she's our favorite person on campus, hands down. And, we got to engage. We got to get on Twitter. We got to be socially active as far as using our voice, using our platforms, and creating that visual and that watch because, me and Chris have daughters. So when we see them out there playing and we see everything they're facing and the challenges, it's almost like don't disrespect our daughters.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't play that. So for us to be behind them as, partners in basketball and also fathers, we understand that passion and that push for change.
Absolutely. I've got a young daughter as well, and hopefully she's going to be a future UCLA Bruin and maybe WNBA star. Better athletics than me. Hopefully she got it from her mom. But the Final Four is back on, so thank you guys for tapping in with us. We're going to be talking hoops all day long. We will come back live next at the conclusion of the Houston game. Maybe they're coming back, or maybe Baylor will stamp their ticket to the national championship. On behalf of Earl Watson, KJ, Chris Johnson, Baron Davis, and Basketball Yoda, I'm Jason Zone Fisher. Thanks for staying with us. We will see you at the end of this game, previewing the UCLA-Gonzaga matchup. We cannot wait. Welcome back. The Final Four. We've got our first team moving on to the championship game, and it is the Baylor Bulldogs. Congratulations to Baylor. First time since 1948. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us live. I'm Jason Zone Fisher, joined by three UCLA legends. I got to practice saying UCLA.
Syracuse guy.
I know, Syracuse guy. Exactly.
You only got two. One, two.
One. I was there. I was a freshman, like you. You were a freshman. You won too. Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah, I wasn't on the team, but I was. They felt my energy. That's right. I'm here with Earl Watson, KJ, Chris Johnson, and BD, Baron Davis. Welcome back, guys. We said that, Houston had a chance to come back, but they did win the second half, but not enough. It was too much Baylor. What was the difference in this one?
Sometimes you just get beat, and this is what it was. Baylor were prepared. They came out and they showed they were more dominant. They were stronger, faster, quicker. They have better skill set players. But salute to Calvin Sampson, man. And we all been recruited by him. We all love him or been in touch with him somewhere along the line of basketball journey. He is a great guy. Much success for him because I didn't expect him to even be in this position.
No, I agree. I think when you look at coaches who have impact and what happened with him in Indiana, right, it's like sometimes coaches just have to find their guys in a school that trusts them. And so big shout out to Houston for, putting up the fight. But I think, when we're watching this, we're watching a buzzsaw in Baylor, right? We're watching guard dominance, right? Defensive guard dominance. And, my last debates and arguments, even on Clubhouse, has really been about defense. Defense wins championships. And when you have guards that defend and pick up, it makes it extremely difficult. And, we're looking at this kid, Butler. I mean, you talk about a point guard. Jesus Christ, man. It's like, he's a master, right, Earl? It's like you're watching somebody just like he never gets rattled. He never turns the ball over. He never does anything bad. You know what I mean? And I just think that they're going to be tough. They're going to be a tough matchup for UCLA or even Gonzaga if Gonzaga wins.
Certainly is on the point guard play. They stepped up. They came out. They locked down the Houston guys. Grimes and the other guy basically had nothing for the day. They were no impact performers. And that's what it's going to take at this stage. You got to shut down the other guys' in order to win on the big stage. Baylor is a buzzsaw, like BD said. Too much talent, too much length tonight versus Houston. But shout out to Kelvin Sampson because no one expected him to make a Final Four with this Houston crew. Yep. And he took them all the way to within a game of the championship. Props to Coach Sampson on a great season.
Absolutely. It was a hell of a run, and he's building something special there in Houston. Phi Slamma Jamma, bringing back the glory to the Houston program and just making a Final Four. That's going to do wonders for the future of Houston basketball and Texas basketball. This battle was really all about that.
Yeah, you talk about recruiting. He can go to any front room and he can say no matter where you go, you have a chance to win a championship.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the University of Texas. You can come here. I've been in the NBA. I've been in college. I've been with James Harden. I understand what it takes. I'm going to get you better when no one believed in you. And that conversation is very powerful. But when you talk about Baylor, their ability to defend the arc is impressive. They run you off the three-point line. And then they recover, so it's still almost one-on-one basketball. It's like you help the helper. Yeah. And what does that mean? That means when you get beat, Barron's going to help me when I get beat. But if I can kick him back to this man quickly because I recover, it shuts down the entire team. And you saw Grimes could not get any shots off. Yeah. Like he couldn't put it on the bounce. And if he did, they were there 2, 3, 4 dribbles. Right. They did a great job defending the bounce in the arc.
Yep.
Guards. I'm going to keep saying it. But, their lead defensive guard, right, is anchored by their best defensive player, who is a lead power forward, right? The 6'6", what's the 6'6" kid?
Yeah.
He is Mr. Defense. Then you got Mitchell, and it's like your lead guard and your lead big man are the cornerstones of your defense. Then your lead guard, right, and then your lead wing are the cornerstones of your offense. It's like, man, the guard, and then the guards that come off the bench, they score. They know how to play. I'm just obsessed with just their depth, just with Baylor's depth and their ability, like Earl said, to attack the perimeter.
One more point on Baylor, like BD just pointed out, the power forward, 6'6". Now he's a mismatch. Defensively, he can switch very easily, rotate out. He's closing out space. He's closing out the shooters. That's helping the rotation, like you're talking about, Earl. Grimes couldn't get anything off today. And that's because guys are sliding over, they're using their length, they're closing spaces, they're closing gaps. And anybody facing Baylor in the national championship game is going to have a problem.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Baylor took care of business. They did what they were supposed to do. A lot of people thought they would be in the national championship game, and they got it done. They are. And they're going to take on either UCLA or the other team that a lot of people from the very beginning have expected to be in that national championship game, Gonzaga. We're going to preview that matchup and get into it in just a few moments, so don't go anywhere because we will be back with you right here in just a couple of minutes to preview the big matchup of the game, of the day, the Final
baby.
Four,
Let's go, baby.
UCLA
Let's go,
versus
let's go,
Gonzaga.
let's
You're
go.
fired up.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
What's up? Welcome back, everybody. How you're all doing? I hope you're doing well out there. I'm Jason Zone Fisher. Thank you for tapping in with us all day long here for the Final Four. I am joined by another UCLA Bruins legend, Michaela Onyewade.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Yes, that's good.
Okay,
That's good.
I nailed it. Okay, very good. Now, Michaela has been playing for the Bruins women's basketball team for the last 4 years
Yes.
and just declared for the WNBA draft. So congratulations on that, on a great season and the next chapter. So obviously you're a senior, but because of COVID, you had the opportunity to play one more season of college eligibility. What went into your decision to turn pro?
Yeah, so I think it was a really hard decision for me to make just because I had such a great experience at UCLA. I was so many great people surrounding me, so many great teammates, coaches, and my experience was just something I won't forget. But I just felt that, like, at the end of the day, I just did everything I needed to do at UCLA, and when it's just time, it's just time to go. And obviously, I'm really, really sad that that chapter ended, but super excited for what's to come.
So what is it like? I mean, being a college athlete and playing for a basketball program like UCLA. I mean, that's incredible. But what I'm really curious about is, talk me through what last season was like and this season, because no one has ever experienced something like COVID and the pandemic and how that really changed basketball, last year's tournament and games getting canceled. And then this year, it obviously looked and felt very different. From the athlete's perspective, what was this like?
Yeah, first and foremost, it's a privilege to be a D1 athlete, to go to a school and university like UCLA. Again, I'm super grateful.
Yeah.
But last year was really fun for us. We were a really great team. We were top 10. We had a really good trajectory towards the end of the year. And then obviously we got kind of stopped. And that was one of the more sad days of 2020, especially for our seniors, not being able to compete in the tournament. And so it was really sad. And we were at home for like 7 months, and we did not know if we were going to have a season. It was really, really sad because I was like, I hope I have a senior season. I hope that, my experience is able to be capped off in a good way. And so this year, obviously, I was super grateful that we were able to have a season. It was a lot different. In LA, we didn't have any fans, so that was weird. It was weird for like senior night that my parents couldn't be there, my family couldn't be there. We had to get COVID tested every single day. We had a bubble, really, honestly. We couldn't really hang out with any other people or any other teams. So we were really disciplined and like, look, we don't want to have a COVID break because if you did, you had to sit out for 2 weeks. And that's just games being canceled and stuff. And we ended up having 6 games canceled just from other teams, having COVID breaks and stuff. And so it was definitely different. Not obviously what we asked for, but again, so grateful that we were able to just have a season and compete and get to the tournament and do that.
What was the most challenging aspect of all of that? Because that's got to be emotionally draining. I mean, basketball is a physically draining sport, but mentally and emotionally, this has got to be a roller coaster going through the restraints and restrictions and games getting canceled or not canceled. What was that process like?
I remember the first time one of our games got canceled, and I think it was against Pepperdine. It was pretty early in the preseason, and we were just discouraged and just disappointed. And our coaches kind of just rallied us together, and we're like, "This is the new normal. Like, we're gonna have to change our perspective and really kind of switch how we look at these things because we can't control any of these things that are happening." And so, it was definitely taxing mentally, and I think the hardest part was just not having the full college experience as a student. Like, I love college. It was 4 best years of my life. And so not being able to hang out with your friends, your teammates, just go out to eat, go to the beach, you had to be super, super careful. That was probably the hardest part. But we got through it. I think our team got closer because of it, because we only had each other. But yeah, it was definitely tough.
So we've been talking UCLA basketball all day. We've got Earl Watson and Baron Davis and KJ here, 3 former UCLA players. What does it mean to you getting to put on that UCLA jersey, playing in Pauley Pavilion, all the history, and why did you decide to come to UCLA? I imagine you could have gone to a lot of places to play basketball.
Yeah, I just felt like UCLA had everything that I asked for. It had the best of both worlds as far as education, academics, and athletics. I thought it was just a great program, and I feel like my coach, Coach Corey, really just sold me a dream. And at the end of this 4 years, I can completely say that it 100% paid off. And her vision for me was completely right and true, and I'm so grateful that I was able to have this experience. And it was just like the right fit. Like, I'm from Colorado, so I don't like snow. So LA was definitely really cool for me to come. But just having Earl and Barron, like you said, KJ, and having those people and those trailblazers who've been at UCLA, who have just made the UCLA Bruins so proud, is so cool for me. And it's an honor, a privilege to put on the 4 letters. I never ever took it for granted in my 4 years, for sure.
Well, you just declared 5 days ago for the WNBA draft. What is the process for you now? What is the next steps like?
Yeah, so right now I'm really I was resting for a little bit, obviously, just giving my body some sort of rest. But now I am just getting back into training, trying to find a dress. I signed with an agent, which is really cool.
Nice.
I'm going home because the draft is actually virtual this year, which is different, but obviously grateful again. And so I'm gonna go home in about a week, stay there, train, and then I'll be off to wherever I get drafted to, like a few days after the draft. And so it's all really happening really fast.
Yeah.
And it's like super weird transition, but I'm grateful.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an athlete. I wish I was. I love athletics, but what must that feel like, not knowing where you're going to end up? You're just sitting there waiting to be drafted, and draft night comes, and you could be playing in Minnesota and stay here in LA. You could be anywhere in the country, or any situation. Is there somewhere you want to go?
I'm just, at this point, just really grateful to just make a roster, honestly, because if anybody knows the WNBA, like, it's super hard to make the roster. There's only 12 spots, 12 teams, and so you have to be the elite of the elite to make a roster. And so I really don't care, honestly, just want to make a roster. But draft night is so cool. Like, I watch draft nights just because they're so fun to see just people's expressions and their families and how happy they are. And so I'm just excited that I get to, experience that in the next week and a half or so.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you. We'll all
Thank
be rooting you on and watching draft night, waiting for your name to be called. Now, we're talking Final Four here today and watching the Final Four games, but the women's Final Four just took place. What were your reactions? I mean, there's been some incredible matchups and some big upsets. What are your quick takes on what we've seen so far and on who you like in the championship? 2 more Pac-12 schools. You got Stanford and Arizona.
Yeah, that's huge. Like, if it wasn't us, like, I'm just grateful that it was Pac-12, and I think it just goes to show how strong the Pac-12 actually is. And so I'm rooting for both of them. I think it's hard to choose one just because it is the Pac-12. I'm rooting for both of them.
She's a pro.
I'm just rooting for a good game. Like, I feel like this has been the most exciting NCAA tournament, and I think we were trying to make up for last year, honestly, because this has been the best, most upsets, just most exciting NCAA tournament. And it just, like, basketball is so fun. Like, around this time, it's so fun. So I'm just rooting for a great game. I wish the best of luck to both teams.
Well, you are good. You've been well trained. She is on it right now. If you had to pick, who do you think will win? Maybe not who you want, but who do you think will win the game?
Okay, so we've played both teams, so well seasoned and know them a bit. So if I had to choose,
I'm making you.
If I had to choose, I would probably choose Stanford, just because they just have so many weapons. And I mean, we were able to get them one time at their place, but they just have so many weapons.
All right, well, that music must be our cue, because we are going to be fired up previewing the next game, the UCLA men's basketball game taking on Gonzaga. So we'll be back in just a few moments. We're going to bring the guys back in to preview that matchup. What do you think? What's going to be the key to UCLA pulling off the upset?
Yeah, Gonzaga's good. So I don't know, but you know what? I'm believing. They've done it to this point. They can do whatever they want as long as they keep believing. So I'm with them all the way.
All right, well, we believe. And speaking of we believe, Baron Davis will be back here in just a few moments to preview the big game with our other UCLA Bruin legends. Don't go anywhere. Stay here for the best pregame content anywhere. SLiC, thanks for tuning in. All right, welcome Welcome back, everybody. We are here in the SLiC Studios in the Bruin Cave. I am Jason Zone Fisher. We are joined again by Michaela. Michaela, thank you for being here again. UCLA Bruin, but, well, once a Bruin, always a Bruin, but she is going on to the WNBA in just a few days, weeks. It's happening soon. And we are joined by Earl Watson and Chris Johnson. And guys, the teams are out there warming up. We are moments away from tip-off of the game of the day that we've been waiting for, UCLA versus Gonzaga. Gonzaga's a behemoth. What is it going to take for UCLA to pull off this historic upset?
Before I say that, I have to say this. I've seen Michaela's growth, right? I've been a part of the program since she's come into the program, UCLA. And I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
Right? Seeing how you developed your game, how you can play in isolation, you can get a bucket without running an offense. You are a non-pattern scorer. And I just need all-star tickets when you make it. Right? I need to bring my daughter. I need to bring my daughter to the game because, you know, Jordan sometimes don't hit me back anymore. You know, Jordan got those 2 rings and the Jordan deal. You know what I mean? She's so damn Hollywood. I'm assuming she's big time. I'm assuming next she's going to be like, oh, you got to hit my assistant in. That's when I'm just going to call her mom direct. But when we talk about UCLA, man, we talk about a matchup that's very difficult and challenging. But at the same time, you're in the Final Four. It's supposed to be. So you got to go in there with that mindset is we have to control pace, we have to control tempo. And controlling pace and tempo is not offensively. It starts defensively. So can they lock up? Can they eliminate helping the helper? Because if you help too much versus Gonzaga, they're going to pick you apart with the pass as 0.5 basketball. Drive it, pass it, shoot it, don't hold it for longer than 0.5 seconds. And they play that way.
Yeah. Michaela, you've watched a lot of Gonzaga. You were telling me, what's impressed you the most about this team?
Just how they're able to produce with all four All-Americans, and they're able to distribute all the points and stuff like that. And it's just really cool to see them work together. And they're, like you said earlier, like they transition is really good, and they score really well, and they reload off the bench over and over again. So it's gonna be hard, but you know, like I said earlier, like I still believe in the Bruins, and I'm rooting for them.
Yeah.
I think it's a credit to Coach Mark Few, his staff, for how he's meshed those 4 All-Americans. I mean, when you got a team with so much talent, sometimes chemistry can become an issue. It's hard to get guys to play together, but Mark Few's done an incredible job of getting 4 high-level guys play together, and that team is just, it's a monster. Coach Jason Hart at USC came on my show. He said that Gonzaga reminded him of my old Crenshaw teams, and the fact that they got layups. They're only averaging 7 threes a game, and they will lay up you to death. I think the key for the Bruins, though, is to worry about themselves. Gonzaga's going to beat Gonzaga. But we got to stay true to ourselves. We got to take advantage of what our advantages are the entire game if we want to have a chance.
So Gonzaga's last game against USC, 2 minutes in, it felt like 90 seconds in, it was already 7-0.
Oh, yeah.
They just started so strong. How important is the start of this game, these first 5 minutes?
You have to eliminate the runs. And I played for UB Brown, and his thing was if the players can eliminate the runs by getting to the free throw line, by getting stops, deflections, we say got to beat 25 or higher for them to usually win. I'm saying 30 and higher because it creates side out of bounds, steals, and opportunities for us offensively in transition if we get those deflections, block shots, and rebounds. And Coach UB Brown's thing was if you can't do that, I got to use all my timeouts. Timeouts don't matter if you're down 30.
Yeah.
You got to use them all. You got to stay in that moment and stay in the game. If they can't eliminate their runs, like instead of a 7-point run, it has to be a 4-point run, right? And then get to the free throw line. Instill your will on the basket or in the paint.
Chris, you've talked to so many of the players' families, of the coaches. What's some insight that you could share with our audience here about this game, about this team that maybe someone doesn't know from all of the interviews that you've done with? I mean, you're an insider with this squad.
I just think that there's an overall feeling of just thankfulness that goes throughout everybody, from the parents to the players to the coaches to the administration, and then ultimately to the fans. We are thankful that we had a season. The parents are thankful that they're able to attend the games. The players are thankful that they're able to ball in the Final Four. And you can see it out there, the way they play, the joy, the jubilation on the sideline when we score baskets, the camaraderie. Everybody's together. When you have a team that's together, where you care more about this guy scoring a basket and you're not playing and you don't give a crap about it, and you're cheering him on, that's when you know you got something special going, and this Bruin team definitely has that.
And that's UCLA way. The 4 letters matter more than the back of the letters in your jersey. And we talk about, you know, being thankful. What is your perspective? Because you lived it.
Yes.
Like, how was it like
this
all season? And did you know you was going to have a season? And what was your mindset? Because this was a big year for you.
Yeah.
Maybe not even having the opportunity.
Yeah, it was definitely weird for sure. I mean, when we found out our season was being canceled, we had just had our last practice. It was the hardest practice of the year, and then I actually got a notification on ESPN like the NCAA tournament is canceled, and I was just heartbroken. And we actually had a meeting after for our whole team, and we came together, and it was just tears and sadness. And I was really sad for the seniors because they didn't have a chance to really show what they had to do, especially for Japrice Dean. She really did need that tournament for her WNBA dreams. And so it was definitely tough. And then we went home, and I was home for like 7 months. And we did not know if we were going to have a season. I was just working out, doing what I could with what I had at home in Colorado, and things were closed down, and so there really wasn't a lot of resources for me to work out, but I was doing what I could. And finally we get the call that like we're coming back like mid-September, and like if you all know, that's like 3 months late. So like I'm like, we're already behind, but obviously there was a sense of gratitude and thankfulness that okay, at least we get to be on campus, and at least I get to have some type of normalcy for my senior year. And so at the end of the day, it did kind of pan out well, and we were able to, have a tournament. We were able to be really successful as a team, and so super grateful for my experience this year. Obviously, it wasn't everything we asked for, but, I had a really, really great time.
Can I give her one pro tip?
Yeah, please.
One pro tip is this. Keep your phone on when you're in the locker room, because sometimes that's how you get traded. That's how you will find out. It's from ESPN.
Hey, you want to know. You want to know.
Yeah, you want to know
before you get up out of there.
I got traded once, and I asked for a trade. Like, I was coming from Memphis with UB Brown and Jerry West, and I went to Denver with George Karl. And
so you wasn't rocking with George?
It wasn't that I wasn't rocking with George. I wasn't rocking with that style of basketball.
Okay.
My dad is U.S. military, right? Drill sergeant.
Yeah.
George is almost like hippie. Yeah. Anything goes. Like, there's no real offense. And I'm like, I need structure.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, she's the type of player where she can play in a pattern offense or a non-pattern offense, because she's a non-pattern player. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? That means whenever we need a bucket, give her the ball. She gonna get you a bucket.
Some way.
She is a coach saver, right?
That's what that's called.
And that's what UCLA needs today versus Gonzaga. Yep. Who can they go to that can get them a bucket without running offense? Because when you play good defense, you need her on your team, a player like her with her skill set that can just catch it at the elbow and just go to work, right? Yeah. And she has that ability. So who is that for you? Say, is it Triple J? Because to me, Juzang is a perimeter non-pattern player.
It's Triple J. You said it. You see what they do. They love Jaime at the high post extended or the elbows extended. He catch, reverse pivot, jab, looking, fakes, fouls. The thing about Jaime, he can draw that foul so good. His patented pup fake, get you in the air, put your body into it. So he's going to find a way, whether it's the two, the jumper, lay, or the foul. And that is something I think has been underrated about Jaime in our offense, is his ability to do that. But I'd like to ask Michaela something, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, of course, please.
This season, the women's basketball team was at the forefront of the Black Lives Movement, being very vocal about protesting, standing up for equality. You guys started a student-athlete-led coalition. Talk a little bit about that and what inspired that.
Yeah, so we started something that was called More Than a Dream, an initiative created solely from our team. And so obviously after the George Floyd killing, that was super unfortunate. We just felt like we needed to use our platform because what was happening was wrong. And so we came together as the black teammates on my team. We were like, we want to do something. We want to have a voice. We want to use our voice. And so we kind of went to our coaches and we were like, this is what we want to do. And so they definitely helped us along. We would not have been able to do and accomplish what we did without them. And so from there, we were able to kind of have educational presentations from our team. We were able to kind of elicit more black-owned businesses that we're using within our team. We were able to really just have the hard conversations about racism and the societal kind of things that black people go through in this country. And so we just had such a great time, and I'm so grateful that we had a program that really backed us, especially in Black History Month. We were able to do those, like I said, presentations, but then we were also able to really just bring in guest speakers who talked about race and just structural racism, just institutional racism, just having those hard conversations. And so again, I'm grateful to have those allies and people who really back us. And this is just the beginning of the conversations if we're going to want this to end and racism. And so, yeah, More Than a Dream has definitely made me find my voice. It's made me closer to my teammates. And yeah, I'm super grateful for it. And I'm excited to see how it continues to grow within the program.
Wow. Shout out to Corey Close.
Yeah, shout out to Corey.
Look, totally behind this thing. And she explained it on my show. You guys were catering meals in the black business on game day, shouting out black businesses, highlighting black businesses. I thought it was a really good thing and a very interesting conversation, because a lot of times, people don't use their platform or have the guts to use their platform, especially at a high-profile place like UCLA.
Yeah, I think Coach Close does a great job of killing all stigmas. You know, when you talk about basketball, it's mostly men's basketball globally and publicly, where you talk about turning young men into men. She's taking young women and turning them into women, not just women who are going to fit in, but women who are going to lead the future beyond basketball. And like when I hear her sit here and talk, the first thing I think of, she's going to run an NBA team one day if she chooses to, right? So whenever you get drafted, you don't just look at a player's skill set. You look at a player that can be in a locker room and create evolvement as far as evolution of the mindset of the team beyond basketball. And that's a great representation. So whenever she's done, now I got to ask her for another thing. You got to hire me. Whenever you start running your WNBA team, just hire me to come in and chop it up for a second. You know what I'm saying? And just move up.
It started with tickets, and now he needs a job.
Yeah, I don't want the tickets anymore. I don't want the tickets anymore. I want tickets.
Yeah, just employ the man. Okay, all right, I got that. But amen to everything that you're saying, and it's amazing the leadership that you and your teammates showed at the collegiate level, and now taking your game to the WNBA, a place where they've been leaders in the movement of speaking out for what is right and social justice above maybe any other league. They've been at the forefront. They really have. So I'm excited to see you continue to grow your voice at that next level. How important is that to you, to use your platform that you have?
It's so, so important. If you would have asked me this 3 years ago, I would have been like, no, I'm not using my voice. I'm not speaking up. Like, I'm going to be quiet. I'm just going to kind of stay in my place. But I feel like the turning point for me was like, what's happening is wrong. And at the end of the day, like, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And what was happening with Black people just in general was just so wrong, and it was hurtful for me. And so that's why I was like, it doesn't really matter anymore. Like, I'm going to say whatever I need to say, and because it is wrong. And so that's kind of where it kind of stemmed from. But like you said, the WNBA is at the forefront. They're the trailblazers for having these conversations and leading the charge in social and racial injustice. And so I'm so grateful to be able to join a league that, you know, has this just important platform that they continue to use. And even last year in the bubble, they did such a great job to kind of highlight what was going on. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be able to have that opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, we're all excited to see what you do on the basketball court, but even more so what you're going to do off the basketball court, away from it, using your voice and your platform to do some good in the world. I know BD is itching to get in here and get in this conversation about UCLA. He's banging down the door right now. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with Baron Davis joining us to preview Gonzaga versus UCLA. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks, Grant Hill. We had enough. Welcome to SLiC Studios. Everybody, we are here, the Final Four. I'm your host, Baron Davis. I am here with the heiress, Michaela Onyenwere.
Yes.
I am also here with the Oracle, the coach, Earl Watson, and the Almanac, Chris Johnson, as we're here in the Bruins Den to talk about Final Four, UCLA, Gonzaga. Let's go, Bruins. Chris, Michaela, Earl, how are we feeling about today? And how are we feeling about the Bruins going up against the undefeated Gonzaga Zags?
Ladies first.
I'm feeling good. Obviously, Gonzaga's a really good team. They're undefeated. They have a lot of All-Americans. But you know what? We've gotten to this point because off of belief. So I'm behind the Bruins for sure.
I believe that. Earl, what is it going to take for UCLA to be able to pull off the victory?
You got to control the pace. And anytime you talk about Gonzaga and their pace, how they get layups and pass the ball, move, starts at the beginning, sucks. And when I defend someone, you want to play against a team or a player, you want him to do what he's uncomfortable doing or what he hasn't proven he can do yet. The mid-range jump shot. Can we take away his three ball? Can we take away the paint and force him to be a mid-range jump shooter, which, you know, analytically is not good for anyone unless you're almost a pro. So that's Tiger Campbell's position, and that's every point guard or anyone who switches out on him to slow him down. But I'm going to toss it to the man I call Thanos because he and his family has the most rings of championships in UCLA basketball history.
The family
Johnson.
rings. Well, the Johnson legacy, Chris Johnson, the Almanac. I call you the Almanac of basketball because you always have, you know, the facts and the tidbits. Tell us who's going to be key and give us some of your insight on it tonight.
I think the biggest thing, as Earl already touched on, is going to be transition defense for UCLA, but also offensively. After Gonzaga takes away your first option, what do you do as a counter if you're UCLA? Gonzaga always blows up that first play. denying on the wing or not letting you get, making you front on the post, throw overhead passes, then help on the weak side. It's going to be about countering and options and angles for UCLA today. Then also Cody Riley and Nwamba have to play a part. Gonzaga got Drew Timme down low. And if you haven't seen Drew Timme play, Timmy, he is nice. And as Earl mentioned earlier, I would love to see Mick Cronin put Jaime Jaquez on him, a smaller, stronger, tough-minded defender that's going to give Drew some problems tonight. In the end, though, I think UCLA comes out on top just based on heart.
Now, Michaela, we know you're going into the draft. About to be a top 10, top 5 pick. You know what I mean? Lottery. You are in this huddle. You are the leader of the Bruins team right now. This is your squad. What are you saying to the team before they go out?
I'm just encouraging. I'm an encourager. I really am. Just getting people hyped. Just making sure people are locked in. I think that's super important from the jump. Like, you have to start, especially with a team like Gonzaga. You have to come out and start and really be ready to battle. And so that's kind of what my sentiments are. Is like, let's go get ready to battle. I'm super grateful to be battling with this group of people. But just super encouraging in that moment.
I love that. And then Earl, as the coach, they're in the locker, they're out on the floor, they're about to come to the huddle. Juices are flowing. What are you telling them to kind of get them off to a good start for this game?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to learn under Pop on how to coach. And his thing is, you prepare entirely for the whole week and prepare for this game. When you get to that moment, you keep it simple. And sometimes keeping it simple is just one message. Because, basketball players, we can't take too much. And once the game is too quick, it's abstract. All right. So what you got to say is one possession at a time, and it's a 40-minute game. Stay in the game no matter what. If they do go on a run, we can't panic. We stay within our offense. And this is not a team that we can hold the ball and play in too much isolation unless it's straight line drives getting a piece of the paint. If we can get a piece of the paint every possession, we're going to chop the game and slow it down because we're going to get what? Foul to the free throw line. Absolutely. So be ready, be confident, and if you open, you better shoot it. As UB Brown would say, you have to shoot. UB Brown would tell us, okay, he'd be like, you have to shoot it in their face. That's ultimate confidence, bro. That's ultimate confidence.
Absolutely. Facts.
And then talk about, because Chris, UCLA lost 4 going into the tournament, had to play their way in, and for one of, I think, besides VCU, are one of the only teams to be able to win 4 straight games and make it to the Final Four. Can you talk about just their resiliency and, their fight?
Yeah, well, if you remember, earlier in the season, Coach Cronin took the jerseys away from them, told them that they didn't deserve to wear them.
Wow.
Stuff like that. His coaching style, his psychological warfare, as I call it, on his team, ultimately paid dividends. Look, how do you go losing 4 straight, then are able to turn it around? That means your team is actually bought in. That means those losses were just something that was based on, hey, we're in the game. It could have went one way or the other. We happened to lose those games. It wasn't indicative of a team that just was playing terrible basketball. They were playing good basketball. They won 5 straight. They had to start off with Michigan State, which is by far one of the most physical and toughest programs that you ever heard of. Mr. March, Tom Izzo, I love that program. But when they came out and punched Michigan State in the mouth,
that was something.
It was something. It was like, yo, what? This is how we acting against Michigan State, bruh? And that's when I kind of was like, okay, what's going on with these here Bruins? And then obviously the Michigan game was something just, unbelievable, especially when they closed it out. I just feel like their resiliency is based on their coach and that staff. And he's empowered them. He's given them utmost confidence, and they're playing with that confidence at the right time.
Can I say something on that? This is interesting. Johnny Juzang is somewhat healthy. Ankle problems. We see it throughout the the last part of the season. Hopefully he stays healthy for this game. Coach Cronin did an amazing job. This is to me, Chris Smith was, this is not hating toward, he was never their best player. He was just a player he had functioning as their best player. Juzang and Triple J, to me, had a higher ceiling. And Triple J started to bring what he can bring, but Earl Watson needed a Baron Davis. And that's who Juzang is for Triple J, right? And what Coach Cronin did, they lost Hill. So what does that mean? They went small ball. And anytime you go small ball, we all know the paint opens. And then the offense started to change. And he did a great job of changing his offense, because before it was like, it was no room in that paint to even drive through their old offense.
No, you're right.
So sometimes you need to fail to be successful, to win. And that's exactly what happened. And he's starting to coach the game like an NBA coach.
Absolutely.
Especially on mismatches. Especially the mismatches.
He's the 6th player on the court, telling players where to go, put them in the corner, run a high pick and roll. No, go, we want this mismatch. And that's how he's controlling the game offensively.
I love it. I love Coach. I love our chances. Last tidbits. Who's the key for UCLA to be successful?
I think Jaime has to have a huge game on both sides of the ball. He's got to get his offense going. They've got to focus on him in that mid-post area. He's got to get Gonzaga into foul trouble. I think that's something UCLA needs to focus on early, get some of them guys out the game, and make them rely on some of their depth.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. he's a bucket, and he's so versatile. He's such a playmaker, and he's going to be the key for sure.
UCLA is definitely a chance. They need everyone, but Cody Riley has to be able to guard Timmy one-on-one and not help, because if you start to help and set double teams, we will lose the game.
I love it. I think if the game is close, I put my chips on Mick Cronin. I love the way he coaches. I love the way he makes adjustment. Obviously, it's Juzang for me, and it's Tiger Campbell. But all in all, we need everybody to play well for us to have a victory. I know we didn't talk about Gonzaga, but we didn't have to. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's tap in. Let's go Bruins. And we'll be back at halftime. And I just kicked Jason Zone out of here, so I'll be back at halftime too. Thank you, Michaela, Chris. Earl will be back. Let's go Bruins.
Go Bruins. Let's go.
Back. Welcome to SLiC Studios in the Bruins Den halftime with your host, your boy BD, and I'm here with my co-host, Chris Johnson, the Almanac. I call her the toolkit, right? Because she has so many moves. The UCLA legend and queen, Monique Billing. The Oracle, the mastermind, the coach, Earl Watson, ladies and gentlemen.
Gotta love BD.
Hey, no, but hey, I gotta give y'all roses. You know what I mean? And speaking of roses, I want to give my roses right now just to UCLA. For a lot of people thought that hey, this was gonna be a blowout. Gonzaga's gonna overpower them. UCLA has no chance. Monique, what do you think as far as like what you're watching? Right, and knowing these guys, what are you watching and seeing happening right now?
I mean, they really set the tempo from the jump, and that's how you have to win these big games. You come in, you establish yourself, and you make the other team really think about like who you are.
Mm-hmm. Coach?
Yeah, she's exactly right. They came in and they matched punch for punch. And we talked about earlier, Mike Tyson quote, everyone has a plan until they get hit. Mm-hmm. Well, when UCLA got hit, they hit right back, and that's Coach Cronin's personality, and that's really those 4 letters. We usually hit first, and we hit often. But when you think about the game and the flow, neither team are getting stops. Mm-hmm. Both teams are shooting a high 50s field goal percentage. The first team that comes out and puts together a run of 3 to 4 stops, maybe twice, will win the game. And if it goes down to the end of the game and no teams are getting stops, I like our chances, Chris, because we used to win in close games.
Yeah, but I love the aggressiveness that UCLA is playing with, the confidence on both ends of the floor. They're taking on the challenge. Gonzaga obviously is the Goliath in the scenario, but UCLA is playing like the favorite. They're playing calm, cool, collected. They're playing with a lot of poise, and they're controlling the pace. And that, to me, has been the key to the game, especially offensively. When they run, we walk. And that has been to our advantage in the first half.
But can UCLA win at this pace? Whose pace is this favorite, Coach?
This pace is Gonzaga's pace.
Okay.
Right, but the only thing we have is we're very efficient offensively, so it keeps us in the fight. And I also believe that we are the only team that can grit out 3 stops in a row. Mm-hmm. Right, Gonzaga is not known for that. No. We all know when basketball players, when we flow, and we used to blowing teams out and moving the ball. Sure. Now we going into that locker room, and I'm telling you, you got to get argue habits, right? But for UCLA, when they go
that, especially with you.
Yeah, especially with you yelling at us to pass you the ball. Like, you know what I mean? But for UCLA, they go in there and say, this is how we play. Mm-hmm. Like, this is our flow, regardless of what the points are on the board, 40-plus points. Yeah. We got players can get buckets now, and we can get stops, Mo.
Right. I think they were handling the pressure really well, too. Gonzaga put that pressure on them, and UCLA was able to stay calm through the storm. So if they're able to do that consistently, I feel like the tempo will be fine for UCLA.
It's Tiger Campbell for me in the second half.
Yeah, I was going.
Go ahead. I knew that's why I jumped in.
I was gonna say that. Pre-game we talked about Tiger Campbell, we talked about Triple J, and we talked about Juzang. We know Juzang, he's 15 points, but Tiger Campbell coming out being aggressive. Talk about what that means in a game like this, in a tempo like this, where Tiger Campbell has 9 points, 2 assists, couple steals.
Well, when your floor leader is coming out and setting the tone, it kind of reverberates through the rest of the team. I talked to Coach Cronin earlier this week. He talked about a midseason meeting he had with Tiger. He told Tiger, if you want to be the point guard at UCLA, you're going to have to stop the ball at the point of attack. You can't. Nobody can blow by anymore. He put sort of this increased responsibility on his shoulders, and Tiger, from that day forward, has really took it on himself to be the leader on both ends of the floor.
Can I tap into that real quick?
Of course.
Think about this. Coming into the season, Knicks was supposed to be a starting point guard. They lose him to the G League. So Tiger thinking, we're going through the offseason, like, I'm not going to start. I'll be a backup. I just started last season. And it's kind of like the wind was taken away, and he got a second wind. And then he was coming off injury, and you know about coming off a leg injury. It takes time, and he's finding his rhythm. To me, Tiger Campbell is Mateen Cleaves. Once he understands to start using his voice for his IQ, he becomes Mateen. Because we all played against Mateen before your time. So Mateen would come in and he'd be like, hey, you over there, you over there. He just talked his way into the NBA because his IQ was so high.
He was a young, to me, he was, as far as a communicator, he communicated like Gary Payton. And Mateen Cleaves was a football player, so he was used to like barking signals, you know what I mean? And I think that is the last degree, you know what I mean, to Tiger Campbell. Is like, don't be afraid to be an extension of your coach. You know what I mean? Monique, talk to us about being a leader and accepting that and being an extension of like that, because Mick Cronin is a fire plug, right? How do you, as the lead player, how do you take that energy and transfer that into the team?
I mean, I think it does need to come from your point guard for sure.
Yeah.
Point guard has the ball in their hands, so I'm always looking at my point guard, like, what are we doing? What are we on? So my point guard is just level and has that confidence. I feed off of that. So if he can embody that, I think UCLA will be in a really good position.
Talk to us about Jaime. Like you are very similar players as far as like, in like the way you have so much versatility. Can you talk about just him and his versatility and like what you see for him in this game in order for UCLA to
I see
be
a lot of
successful?
energy. I think that's helped UCLA a lot in this game. And he's on a good pace, on a good track.
Yeah, and I know he's one of, Coach Chris, you coached him when he was in high school. Talk about his versatility and what that means, especially going into the second half with a pace like this, right?
Well, you get to get Jaime in his sweet spots. So now he gets to operate where he wants at the mid post, the elbows. And now the thing about Jaime that I love is his ability to get to the foul line. So in the first half, he's finding a way to score. So
He's a dog.
He's a dog. So every time you get him the basketball, you can expect something good to happen out of it. He has to keep the pressure on, not settle for threes and outside shots, and keep attacking guys at the rim in the second half.
Now, Coach, Gonzaga's top three guys are not their top three. None of those are the number one scorer, right? So their leading scorer, Ayaya, right? He has 16 points. Suggs is a little slow, and everybody else, the big guy, he's timid. Everybody's kind of getting this equal opportunity. What is it going to take for us, for the Bruins to be able to manage what Gonzaga is going to throw at them second half, and what do you expect?
Well, the Bruins are +3 at the free throw line. We talked about cutting the game. You cut the game, timeouts, or players take over and get to the free throw line. It kind of slows the pace down at your pace. So when I'm UCLA, I'm saying we cannot put them on the free throw line and create bad fouls. We need verticality plays. We all know verticality is straight up, straight down, make people score over you. Don't come down, don't try to block a shot, make it a tough shot. Right, stay ahead of the ball and in front of the ball, between the ball and the rim. And then when you have your opportunities to run, like when we all feel it. We be in a game, and then you start feeling that energy with the opportunities to run. You got to take those opportunities because that's when you give them a combo. Right now it's jab for jab. If you give them the combo, you start to separate yourself. And in this game, a 4-point lead or a 5-point lead is going to feel like a 10-point lead because of the energy of the game and the flow of the game.
I love that.
That's what Kenny Miller was just saying. It feels like a 20-point lead when you're up 4 or 5.
No, especially, and I would say especially for a team like Gonzaga who has been blowing everybody out. If we all said this, if UCLA can stay close, the pressure is on Gonzaga because they're not in familiar territory. UCLA, they're in familiar territory.
They live in this.
They have lived, right, in this underdog mentality, but they've also played in, 4 or 5 overtimes in the tournament, right? They've played in countless amount of close games. Talk about the importance of that as a player.
It's all about the details. In those crucial moments, it's just executing those details. And so UCLA, in those clutch games when they're overtime, double overtime, they're able to execute those small details that win games.
And earlier in the year, they were losing those games.
Yeah.
Those games cost.
Yeah.
Stanford, SC, they learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, so the out of bounds play against SC where a guy lost his man and hits the game winner.
Yeah.
And like Monique just said about the details.
Details.
The devil is in the details. It is no different in college basketball. The thing I love about Mick Cronin and what he trained his team to do is they have a heightened sense of, I don't know if it's responsibility or just something at the end of games, because guys are locked in in those last 2 or 3 minutes. You can just see everybody's on the same page. What you think about it, Earl?
He learned under Patino. Patino learned under Hubie Brown. I played for Hubie Brown. It's all about deflections.
Yeah.
Right? And you talk about it's all numbers, analytical numbers without overcomplicating the game. Right? And you talk about deflections. So Mick Cronin is saying at halftime, we have to get 15 to 20 deflections in the second half, and we are getting to the championship game. Because that 15 to 20 gives us what? Transitional opportunities. Transitional opportunities are 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s. Now you flowing, and those are the punches. Fouls, free throws, getting to the line. Now we're separating ourselves. And you really think about it and you really break it down. You say he's in a dogfight. The way Hubie Brown taught us is he raised us every day saying we had to win close games. So that's the mindset already.
You're no good unless you win close games, correct?
Yeah.
And talk about, one, we're talking about the details, but talk about you got getting over that hump, right? And for a team like Gonzaga, right, they have been challenged as well, but at the same time, this is it, right? This is it.
Yeah.
There is nothing that precedes this moment.
No.
There's your worth is no worth, right? Until the second half starts. Coach, what are you telling UCLA before they walk out the gym?
So you say keep doing what you're doing. Up the deflection. So every time we come in, this when Hubie Brown be like, how many deflections do we have? You know the number. The number is 20. How many? We have 6, Coach. We have 7. Well, we don't have none more deflections. And you think about this. Kentucky was in that moment. I coached Devin Booker. They lost. They were undefeated into the Final Four and they lost. So it's capable. So Coach Few is coming into the halftime. We all been here before. Do they have your attention now?
Yeah.
So now, we got into that game plan. First 5 minutes, who's going to give the most punches and who can counter those punches?
Monique.
Who will punch first? He said it best.
Chris.
If I'm Coach Cronin and I'm in the UCLA locker room, I'm not really changing anything. I'm asking guys and I'm challenging them as young men now. We're 20 minutes away before a national championship game. So now this is on y'all. Whatever that means to y'all and whatever y'all got to do to get there, that's on y'all. I've got you here. Now it's up to the guys to really step up in the second half, man, and bring it home.
Love that. Accountability.
Accountability.
Who's the player that's gonna when I watch basketball, I'm always like, damn, dude, he's gonna hit the shot. He's gonna win the game for us. Who's gonna be that guy?
Well, there's the usual suspects, but I really think it's Tiger Campbell. So I think Tiger, what I saw early in that first half, the high pick and roll action that they were getting off, they didn't went away from it. I would get back to that on the offensive end, and then defensively, he's doing a good job of containing his man, staying in front. I really think second half, he's going to hit some big shots. He's ready. He's been raised for this moment, and I think he leads us home.
Yeah, I feel like Tiger Campbell's going to be has to be the leader in these moments, but I think it has to be a collective unit.
Absolutely.
It has to be everybody. It can't just be on one person's shoulder. It's the small details, as we talked about, the dirty plays, the dirty work, hustle plays, rebounds, all of that.
Yeah.
Everybody. It's a collective unit.
I'm saying corner 3. Everything matters. Usually a chain. Can Tiger Campbell hit a corner 3? Timely corner 3, because they're not really guarding him in the corner 3s. He's instilling his will in the paint because he missed a couple early. Can he hit 1 or 2? If he does, we know how it feels. You hit that first 3, that second 3, now you're hitting all 3s. And it's a wrap.
Yeah, and I would say, for me, it's like the bench, right? There's only 2 people that are going to come off the bench. Potentially that third person, right? It could be Kleiman. It could be somebody like that. That's my lucky horse. Right? It's always it's always like that for, when I used to play against other teams, it'd be like, damn, dude, don't put this dude in. Let him be lucky. We need that. And I think, it's really going to come down to the bench, and what we're able to do with the bench. But if we can get some bench points, right, it's going to really increase the pressure, man. I think so. And so I like our chances. What do we need to? What are we afraid of in Gonzaga?
Them getting hot. Gonzaga, their shooting hasn't been great in my opinion, considering what I usually see out of them. A lot of ins and outs, bad misses, funny little misses at the rim. We're honestly pretty lucky to be in the game. They should be about 10. I feel like. I think we should be afraid that they're going to start making that stuff, and that they're going to click in, and that the refs are going to start to take control of the game. That's my last point.
That pressure. Gonzaga's pressure was tough. They were coming off of a strong hedge. I saw that. It didn't necessarily bother UCLA, but it could potentially. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Suggs. We talk about scoring in the paint. Can he separate himself and show he's a lottery pick? The second half is when lottery picks separate, because we know Tiger has a chance to be an NBA player one day. But right now they're even. Separate yourself and show why you're a lottery pick today.
Absolutely.
Love that. And here it is. It's all the insight. We were in San Francisco. They kicked it to us in LA. Now I did a no-look pass. Michaela was here. Now it's Monique. Monique, before we go, I want to just give you your roses and say continue to do what you're doing in the WNBA. Continue to speak up and be a voice for athletes, for us all to follow. And, one, I always like to, ask, what was your experience? What does UCLA mean to you? And then, knowing that we had a younger Bruin that's coming into the draft this year, what does that mean, as far as the legacy and what you're leaving at UCLA as well?
Right. No, first I want to say thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you for all of you guys just being like brothers for us and really helping us to get put on. We really appreciate that and we need that. You guys are advocates for us, and so that gives us confidence to use our voice and to be strong Black women or just women in general and represent. So thank you for that. And what it means to be a Bruin is just community. Yeah. It's family. So, yeah, always proud to be a Bruin.
How are we feeling about coming into the second half?
All right, Bruins. Bruins,
for sure.
We're supposed to play tough games.
That's why That's what we do.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little nervous, you know what I mean? But, I need to get back out there. You see, I keep throwing the ball, my energy. I want to go hoop. I wish I could, foul somebody for him right now. But Baron Davis, Earl Watson, Monique Billings, Chris Johnson, the Oracle, the Toolkit, the Mastermind. I'm your host, BD. We'll catch y'all after the game, after this Bruin win.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, Bruins.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy BD, SLiC Studios, Bruin Den. Yo, overtime. Overtime, we've been here before. Before we get back to the game, Coach, what are we doing?
Overtime, Drew Timmy, the man with 2 first names, has 4 fouls. So when you get into overtime, put him in pick and rolls, throw it into the post, play isolation, see if we get him to 5th. If we do, I think we gain momentum.
I'm a big Tiger Campbell guy. I need him to have the ball and making plays for us. Johnny's doing well, driving kick the open shooters in the corner. I think we stick with our game plan and keep it pushing.
Let's go back to the game. Let's go, Bruins. Yo, oh man, heartbreaker.
Heartbreak Hotel.
Back at SLiC Studios, it's your boy, BD. I'm here with the Almanac, Chris Johnson, the Oracle, the Mastermind, the Coach, Earl Watson. And I am not gonna lie, I'm heartbroken, but damn, that was a good-ass game.
Yeah.
That was just a good game, man. And, shout out to the Bruins and Mick, Coach Mick, and, just the whole Bruin athletic department, basketball, women's basketball. This was tough loss, but this was this is what we're about. We're back. This is who we are.
Absolutely. We are UCLA.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Chris, go ahead, because I am.
Well, great shot by Jalen Suggs, first of all. Big time shot, came over half court, 3-2. Presence of mind to have his dribbles ready and step into it for a big shot. We could nitpick all day about what they should have done after the made basket. I'm just proud of the Bruins for fighting. That's the #1 team in the country. That's the best team in college basketball. And we were 3 points. So we played 45 minutes, 4 minutes and 57 seconds of great basketball, high-level competition. I'm proud of them dudes, man.
Yeah, first off, I'm proud of them, and we needed a platform to bring our family together. Absolutely. So thank you to UCLA Athletics,
Yes.
everyone that supported. And you think about this, UCLA basketball is no longer men's and women. It's just UCLA basketball. And I think we proved that today with the guests we had. We are linked. We are siblings in this run for destiny and glory. Thinking about the game, Suggs, he knew he had a shot in him. Well, Baron, we've been here, point guards.
Yep.
He knew that's respect
That's
to Johnny.
enough time.
That's respect to Johnny Juzang. He knew
Yep.
Johnny was going to score. When the ball went through the net, he was on a dead sprint to get the ball, and his mind was made up, I am going to win this game.
Nice outlet.
Nice outlet, but he was on a dead sprint. Tiger was behind, no one could catch up, and he got to a spot, and when he shot it, a lot of players just throw it and they lean. He went straight up, straight down,
Held it.
landed,
He shot it.
soft,
And held it.
kind of
It was
jogged
a
off
great-
like it was a home run try.
He knew it.
So salute to him, but more importantly, salute to our team, to our program, to Coach Mick. They did a great job, and the future is bright, and the future starts tomorrow.
I believe so too, man. I'm still heartbroken, but it's like if we're gonna lose on a last second shot, a half court shot, you know what I mean, in overtime, right, by Jalen Suggs.
Yeah.
You know, if you would have told me that at the beginning of the game, I'd have been okay with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? With them being the #1 team in the country, but you know, we had our chances.
We did.
There's a lot of things that we could talk about we didn't have, right? What I love about this team is they do with what they have.
Yes.
And they get it done, right? And salute to Coach Mick for coming in and bringing a certain type of like standard and a value that we all abide by, respect. I think it's a part of our culture. It's a part of our nature. It's something like that you were saying, Earl. It's about this hard-working community of people doing it together. And when I look at that team and I look at those guys and I look at where they come from and their commitment to UCLA, I'm proud, right? I'm proud. And like, I'm proud to be able to do something like this. I'm proud to be a part of, you know, UCLA athletics, UCLA basketball in general. And, you know, I just feel that there's opportunity, right? And Earl, I want to get to you because I want you to, like, I'm a player. You already know how I am. I'm hurt. As a coach, what are you saying to these kids in the locker room?
I think Coach Wooden said it best. You prepare every game like it's a championship game. And you prepare every possession to do the right thing in each possession. But the minute you start playing for results, you start to cheat the game. Sometimes you're going to play the right way and you're going to lose by things like this.
Yeah.
You can't take nothing away from that.
Yeah.
So what you got to say is we did it the right way. We found who we were. We created identity that's sustainable because it's sustainable on the defensive side. I'm proud of you. You guys done an amazing job. The whole city behind you, the Bruin family, genderless, everyone's proud of you. How do we build through this? Because we can get back here.
Right.
This is that group's first time losing in the tournament.
Right.
So they understand what it takes. They understand what it takes.
Absolutely.
And coming into next season, y'all know confidence is everything. You tell me y'all had it when y'all won a championship. It carries you, correct?
Well, back then, so I wasn't here, but they had lost against Tulsa, and the thing that happened with Ed O'Bannon, I think they got the guys together in spring. He got the guys together. They had lost to Tulsa. They're like, we're starting workouts right now, and we're getting in the gym, and we're going to build for next year. I think this is a different circumstance because of everything that happened. I think still, though, these guys have a lot to be proud of.
Absolutely.
I mean, 5-1 in the tournament. We lost our last 4, and then you go on the run for the ages as an 11 seed. You make the whole Bruin Nation completely proud, and just, I mean, God, I'm really proud of that team. And the other thing, I want to shout out Martin Germain, our AD. He got me back, wanting to be all
he
gung
got
ho.
me
You see, I'm wearing the
cracking.
shirt, the hat, the whole nine. Because
Shout
of
out to
him,
Martin.
I'm back full board. And I love the direction of the program. Next year we got Peyton Watson and all these type of cats coming in,
my
depending
God.
on what happens with deflections this year.
Yeah.
If dudes are bouncing, we might have the #1 team preseason in America next year, and that's very exciting for UCLA basketball.
Yeah, and speaking of just, bringing guys back and keeping guys together, I want to bring in a special guest, the glue. I call him the glue to UCLA athletics, UCLA basketball, Mr. KD, Kenny Donaldson.
Come on, Kenny, come on in here,
Appreciate
bro.
y'all. Appreciate
What's up,
y'all.
bro?
Please join us.
Appreciate
What's up,
y'all.
bro?
Yeah,
You
appreciate
sit on
y'all,
down,
man.
Sit
It's
on
tough,
down.
man. It's tough.
I know, but
Yeah, man, it's tough, but I think y'all hit on the biggest point. I mean, we've been on the positive side of Tyus and what he did.
Absolutely.
We've been on the positive side of Gonzaga and what that
Yeah,
was back in the day. So to be
Yeah.
on the other side this time, it hurts. But most importantly, for a program like UCLA, to bring these three guys together who are the glue of the foundation of what our program is, and to have an event like this, and for us to be connected like this, that's what the program's about. So even though we may have lost on the court, the wins that we're having off the court are going to build the foundation to bring UCLA back to what it needs to be and what it should be. Not just the dominant program in Southern California, the dominant program in the nation. UCLA is the #1 basketball program in the nation, hands down, and we should be that way. We should recruit who we want. We should bring in who we want. That's men's and women's basketball. So I'm saying this right now. This is going to set the foundation for where we're going for the future. So I really, even though I'm hurt about what happened, I'm excited about being with these brothers right here. I'm excited about what the future holds, and I'm really, really looking forward to what UCLA basketball is going to do in the future.
Let me tell you how good he is. He done convinced me during this whole event to go back to school and get my master's.
me too.
He done convinced me. So I'm re-enrolling in school in the fall because he done convinced me and recruited me.
As soon as I saw him, I say, "Yo, bro, now I'm ready to go back to school."
Oh, man.
It's like I need that last. I know where I need to get my degree now.
But that's what it's about, because I mean, the guys need to understand that y'all, the three of y'all, laid the foundation for where we're at today. And we went through some rough years, and we talked about it. But where the program's going at right now, not just from a basketball standpoint, but bringing y'all back into the fold, y'all getting involved with who's there right now. I think as a campus, as a community, UCLA is stronger than it's ever been because of where we're at right now. And I appreciate the three of y'all.
Yeah, and I say shout out to our Mount Rushmore, our builders, and the Coach Woodens and the Mike Warrens and the Lucius Allens and the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, Jamal Wilkes, the Gail Goodriches, the Don McClains, the Ed O'Bannons, the Marcus Johnsons,
So many.
Who has that history?
Y'all.
Who has that history? Yeah.
Harry Bibby, it's so many, and it's like Reggie Miller, so many more, and the foundation was laid. Yeah. And anytime, you're building a legacy, you're building a family, everybody is trying to establish themselves. And I think the success, right, and the championships has always been the goal. But more importantly, when you think about the Kareems, the Bill Waltons, the Jackie Robinsons, right, the Earl Watsons, people who are taking the Russell Westbrooks, right, Monique Billings, people who are taking their platform beyond what we do. You know what I mean? That's UCLA.
Exactly.
And so the foundation, the appreciation. One, I am going back to school. This dude graduated. He gonna get a master's
degree.
He gonna get the PhD.
Exactly, all that.
But I think the foundation element of school and what UCLA brings is just a magnet for us. And this Final Four experience was, something that I feel we should be celebrating Monday as well. You know what I mean? And so, shout out to you, Kenny, for joining us. Shout out to the UCLA Athletic Department. My co-host, KJ Live, at KJ Live. He about to be on Instagram right now.
Check him out.
I call him the Almanac because he He knows everything about the game of basketball. And so I appreciate you. Any last words, Chris?
No, just proud of the Bruins. Love to be here next to my man Kenny Donaldson, one of the best guys around. Just glad to be a part of a part of the program. Just having interactions with Martin Germond and Mick Cronin, all the coaches are showing up on my show and engaging with me and shouting me out. And there's no better feeling in the world. When UCLA loves you, you really feel loved.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to have KD back home. And it's great to dust off those 4 letters.
Yeah.
Because we are a global brand.
Yeah.
And that's what UCLA brings to the table, global basketball, the brand, the platform and we're raised in our university to push the envelope further and further. There's no limit, and we're just grateful for that opportunity. But the kids, man.
The kids.
The kids, they did an amazing job. They made they big bros proud.
Shout out to them, bro.
And shout out to the players because they use their platform to unify, to show how connected and unified they are. So shout out to UCLA Athletic Department. Shout out to Martin Germond. Shout out for Kenny Donaldson. Shout out to Michaela. Shout out to Monique. Coach Earl Watson, Chris Johnson. For me, I'm Baron Davis. We're here at SLiC Studios in the Bruin Den. We will be back for the NCAA Finals on SLiC Sports. Until then, an A clap, big hugs and love. Let's do it. We back next year. Love, Bruin family.
All love. UCLA, bye. Let's go, baby. Yes, sir. Hey, shoot.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy BD. SLiC Sports back in the Bruin Den for the NCAA Final Four. And you thought we was going to leave y'all hanging? No, we back Monday with the Almanac, Chris Johnson, the mastermind coach, Earl Watson. Are you going to really show up, though?
Yeah, bro. Gonzaga, Baylor? Come on, man. I wouldn't miss it for the world,
What
baby.
you think?
Big time matchup. Anytime you got those two teams, remind me of y'all year, UCLA versus Arkansas. It's going to be high level basketball.
I am not going to lie. We are excited. Tune in, SLiC Sports. Tap in with us. The NCAA Finals, Baylor versus Gonzaga. The battle of the best teams in college basketball. Tap in with us.
Yes, sir.